So, lads, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Sophie Cunningham. Why? Because Sophie Cunningham's podcast has got a lot of people saying, giving their opinions on this, and people don't realize how good Sophie Cunningham is at basketball, and how important having Sophie Cunningham is for the Fever winning a championship. Look, there is a caveat, and the caveat is Caitlin Clark on the team? If the answer is yes, then I'm not joking when I say this. Sophie Cunningham is a way better fit than Lexi Hull. Way better. Like, I don't mind. I'd keep both. And you can afford to keep both. But Sophie is a way better fit than Lexi Hull if Caitlin Clark is on the team. If you are running it back with a Kelsey Mitchell-led team where it's a lot of, for lack of a better word, accidental basketball, where you put the ball in the basket based on individual talent, not individual talent. You put the ball in the basket based on an individual being able to just burn people. And if you have Odyssey Sims running the point, then you let Sophie Cunningham walk. That is not the style of play that Sophie Cunningham is really going to be effective for. But you've now got a situation where Sophie Cunningham is a player that, pure basketball-wise, is the perfect fit on a lineup. Because Lexi Hull, everybody talks about it. Like, forget about her hustle. Her hustle is exceptional. But, like, everybody knows with Lexi Hull, she shoots better with high volume. Sophie Cunningham shoots better regardless of volume. She is a better slasher than Lexi. She is a better three-point shooter than Lexi. She's a better passer than Lexi. Her offensive IQ is higher than Lexi. Her ability to be a defensive stopper is higher than Lexi. But Lexi Hull is the best in the league at what she does. Like, this is not me saying you choose one or the other. But which one fits significantly better beside Caitlin Clark? Like, archetype role, what you need beside a Caitlin Clark? Sophie. When Lexi touches the ball's gone up. And this isn't like a knock on Lexi. I want to keep both of them. But like Sophie Cunningham, how many small forwards? We saw it with what you call it. We saw it with Dewana Bonner. That small forward position doesn't really touch the ball. The power forward position doesn't really touch the ball that much. When you've got Caitlin Aaliyah and Kelsey Mitchell, you need players who are able to score on low volume and like be able to lock people down or at least play good defense, and when they're needed to shoot at high volume can do that. Lexi, I think, is a good shooter when she gets in high volume. Lexi struggled on low volume her entire career, and that's kind of a big reason why she struggled early on in her career, and she looked so good when she came in as a starter. The more minutes Lexi plays, the better she plays. And you can make that argument to say you should start Lexi no matter what. But I'm like, there's going to be some games where maybe it's not Lexi's. You can play Lexi with Sophie at the 2-3 if it's not Kelsey Mitchell's game. As we saw, I can't remember who it was against. There was a game, I think, was it the Mercury when we beat the Mercury? Like, if you look at some of our biggest wins of the season, Atlanta by 20, Mercury, it was Ari, Sophie, Lexi, or Caitlin, Ari, Sophie, as the kind of 2-3. Like, most of our biggest games and our best games before the playoffs were with Sophie on the floor. But what people don't understand is that she has an ability to play 1 through 4. Like, look, she's not a great point guard. She can't really dribble the ball, but she can set up that offense. Like, you can set up an offense through her. She will get the ball moving side to side. Like, she has more of a point guard brain than any player in the Fever not named Caitlin Clark. She passes laterally. She is the only player not named Aaliyah Boston who swings the rock on the entire team. But fans are so obsessed with, we need to get a max contract small forward. No, we don't. We have 3 max contract players. We don't need any more. We saw Jewel Lloyd take an entire season to learn how to become a role player. They did not need Jewel Lloyd to be Jewel Lloyd. They needed Jewel Lloyd, the role player. And it took her a season to figure it out. We already have that player. We have that player that can do what Jewel Lloyd did in the playoffs, and it's Sophie. Like, let's not forget, at the time of her injury, she had literally gone through a 10-game stretch when you could argue that she was the Fever's best player. You could argue she was the Fever's best player over a 10-game stretch right before she got injured. Like, she's fantastic, and there are not many other Sophie Cunninghams in the league. Like, Kayla McBride might be like the one player I'm like, okay, yeah, but unless we're getting Kayla McBride or Jackie Young, I don't know how many better players there are than Sophie. So I just want to look up, like, Sonia Citron's better than her. Okay, yeah. But look up 2026 WNBA free agents. And we have to look here and find what free agent that you could replace Sophie with that is more impactful than Sophie. As in, is able to play as many positions as Sophie, plays defense like Sophie, is cool on low volume like Sophie. Because they're going to be low volume players. So let's take a look here. This is assuming we're keeping Kelsey Mitchell. Would I take Sophie over Satu? Yes. Would I take Sophie over Natasha Howard? 1,000,000%. Would I take Sophie over Stewie? No, obviously not. Sophie over Hines Allen? Yeah. We're looking at guards or forwards. Sophie over Mabry? Yes. And we're at max contracts right now. Sophie over Dejanay? Yes. Sophie over Atkins? No. No, if we could somehow get Ariel Atkins, but she's not probably big enough to play the 3. She's not as versatile, but I take Ariel Atkins just as a 3-and-D player. Would I take her over Tiffany Hayes? Yes. Would I take her over Chelsea Gray? Yes. Ooh, no. Actually, you know what? No. No. Chelsea Gray as a forward at the forward position? No. I would not make that move. Her over Azare, different positions. Her over Neka, different positions. Alicia Clark, yes. Nafise Collier, obviously not. Her over Lana Smith, different positions. Her over Ray Burrell, yes. Her over Bridget Carlton, yeah. Her over Kayla Thornton, probably not, but like Kayla Thornton's going to cost you a max. Like basically every player other than Bridget Carlton is a max contract player. So basically you're saying, can you get Bridget Carlton cheaper than Sophie Cunningham? If not, you're going to have to pay more than what Sophie Cunningham is going to want to get Sophie Cunningham, to replace Sophie Cunningham. And so people are like, there's so many Sophie Cunninghams in the draft. No, there's not. No, there's not. Like, it's so hard to find players in women's basketball without a weakness. Like Sonia Citron is the prime example that I can give who's an upgrade on Sophie Cunningham. But like, we're not getting Sonia Citron, are we? Like, we're not getting Sonia Citron. And it is, unless you're finding some way, there's no player in the draft. If anyone tries to tell me that one-dimensional 3-and-no-D Garzone is a good player, and this is the problem, is like, everyone wants these specialists, Jesus, but they do one thing. I'm like, I don't care if Gianna Niepkins can shoot 40% from 3. If she can't guard a parked car, she's not going to be able to stay on the floor long enough to shoot 40, to make an impact. Like, people are like, oh, we can get these players. Like, Garzone, Niepkins. Like, people are actually saying that these are players that are comparable to Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham was a starter in a WNBA Finals in year 3. Sophie Cunningham had her best season of her career last year. Sophie Cunningham, you could argue, was the best player on the Fever in the Commissioner's Cup Final when they won. And there were big, big games when the Phoenix Mercury, when they went to Phoenix, and we looked shell-shocked. We looked shell-shocked against Phoenix. They destroyed us. The only reason it wasn't a 45-point game was Sophie Cunningham willing the Fever back into that game by herself. And I'm looking at this, and people are so like, oh, she's just a clout chaser. People are so like against Sophie Cunningham personally, some people, that you fail to realize she is literally irreplaceable. And people are like, oh, it's so easy. People are like, a role player wants to be paid like a star. And it's like, Mercedes Russell gets paid near max contracts. There are not that many players in the WNBA. There are a lot of max players. And by the way, if you're like, oh, this is how you lose by paying role players like stars. When you have 2 players on free contracts, when you have 2 starters that are basically on free contracts, and you're saying, what do you mean by free contracts? The minimum contract seems to be $300K. They're getting paid under $100K. They are free. KK Timpson Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston's salary combined does not equal one rookie coming in this year. One rookie from this year's class. You have 3 players for free. You are playing around with 9 spots. You're literally just messing about with 9 spots. Sorry, 8 spots, because Christy Wallace is going to be coming back. And Christy Wallace is making 80k. You basically have the entire salary cap to spend on 8 spots. You can pay 4 max contracts, which means you're probably going to pay someone who's not worth a max contract or near that. You're probably going to go, especially if it's something short term. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Thing wants a long-term deal. Sophie wants a long-term deal. It's like, okay, yeah, cool. A max contract's $1 million. So let's just look at the WNBA salary. The 2026 WNBA free agents. So basically, a minimum contract was like 80. A max contract was 250. So like, or sorry, it was 200. Not really supermax. A max contract was about 200k. It's 215k was the max contract. So then you go to whatever 215k from 80. So let's just say 160. 160 is what we'd say is maybe 2/3 of a max. Who made 160k this year? Is Sophie Cunningham better than Alicia Gray? No, obviously not. Is she better than Beck Allen? Yes. Is she better than Walker Kimbrough? Yeah, no shit. Alana Smith, probably not. Kia Nurse, no shit. Heidemann, yes. Ray Burrell, yes. Benai Delaney was injured. Sloot, yes. Alicia Clark, yes. Ezzy Magbagor, she was actually better last season. Jordan Canada, different players, but Canada was pretty good. Sykes, yes. Way better than Brittany Sykes. Well, overrated player in the league. Jonquel Jones, no, of course not. Azure, different positions. But it's like, if you look at the players in that kind of 150, 160 range, I'm like, she's that level player. She took a hometown discount. There's not a single vet not named Hemi. It's better. And by the way, we paid Katie Lou Samuelson a max contract to do nothing. To do nothing for a year. You can afford, what the Indiana Fever should do is, you give Lexi whatever the hell she wants. You match up Lexi's max contract to when you have to give Caitlin a max contract. So you give Lexi a 2-year max. You can afford to keep her. You go to Sophie. You can either take like a high vet contract. Let's just say a max is 1.5 million. You pay Lexi whatever the fuck she wants. You go to Sophie being like, look, we can't give you the full 1.5. We'll give you, if you want to do it 1 year, we'll give you 1.5 for a year. But if you want to set a long-term deal, we can only give you like 900k because we got to pay Caitlin, we got to pay Aaliyah. We'll give you 900k for 3 years. If it's a 1.5 million. You give Kelsey Mitchell whatever the fuck she wants, every cent to what she wants. You give Lexi, you can probably get Lexi on the same contract as Sophie, for being completely honest. So then you have to look at it like, okay, yeah, this is what we have. And everything else we look new. That gives you a max contract to play with a power forward where you really need a max to go to Alana Smith or Azurá Stevens. Here is a max. Here is a max. You are signing a 1 year plus 1 year team option deal. So if you stink it up, we can get rid of you. But if you're doing well, you're here for 2 years. Sign a 1+1 max contract deal. And then we fill out the bench players with a bunch of vet minimums and our rookies. That is all they need to do. They need to improve on that backup point guard position. Ari is not the answer if you plan on having Caitlin Clark on your team. She's just not the answer. Or if you want to play Caitlin Clark exclusively at point guard, if you want Caitlin to dominate the ball, fair enough. But if you want Caitlin to play off the ball, not the right option. That's a hard position to find. But you go to Julie Alamont. You offer Julie Alamont a big deal to back up Caitlin because she can play with Caitlin and Caitlin can be off the ball with Julie Alamont because she's a lateral passer, which there's not many of them. Then you look towards the bench and you're like, okay, we have Azurá, Aaliyah. Who do we need off the bench? Elizabeth Williams. You can get Elizabeth Williams on a pretty decent deal. She's older. She's going to be looking to win a championship. Getty will. Great vet to have around. You have her in there. Azurá is your starter. And you can afford this team. Lexi coming off the bench. Your starting four is... Your bench four is still KK Timpson. You just hope for the best. Or Sophie can slide if you're really stuck. KK is your bench player. Your bench power forward. Bench small forward. Bench 2-3 is Lexi. You've got Ari or whoever the fuck you have. Julie Alamond ideally. And then your backup two is... It can be anybody. It can literally be anyone. Whoever you draft. If you draft Gianna Neepkins. Like, that is your 10 rotation. and you have a little bit of money to play around with. So you can say, you know what, let's go get a big name as a sixth man, as like a true sixth man. Let's go, and I don't even know who to get, honestly. I know who to get. I'd be waiting to see who gets bought out, to be honest. Maybe get some young players. But you have enough money for like 2 decent-sized contracts there, and even pushing KK Timpson out of the rotation, out of the 10-man. And then whoever, keep your second round pick as well. The Indiana Fever have a lot of money to play around with. And they can still put together a real championship winning team by keeping Sophie. And to replace Sophie Cunningham, you are going to lower your championship window. Because to replace Sophie, you literally are going to replace what Sophie does, you might need to sign 3 players. To replace what Sophie gives you as a connect with her shooting, you need to sign somebody. To replace what Sophie gives you as her defensive versatility, I'm not saying she's a great defender, but what I'm saying is she has the ability to be a 6 out of 10 defender at 3 different positions. To replace that versatility, you need another player. To replace her ability to get the ball moving side to side and be a connective piece in the offense and be okay with whatever her role is, whether it's a bench starter and as a utility player that can just go and play anywhere in the offense, you need to sign another player. You need to sign 3 specialists to replace what Sophie Cunningham does. You need to sign 3 players to replace Sophie Cunningham. Because it is so hard to find a player that just slides in to whatever the hell needs to be done and will do it at a 7 out of 10 rate. That player is nearly impossible to find. Your John O'Shea's, your Stuart Dallases, your James Milners, your Denny Avdias, your Draymond Greens, your freaking Boris Diaws. They are some of the players that are able to survive in the top leagues in the world of those archetypes are fucking like they are unicorns. They are rarer. They are rarer than the people we call unicorns. You need 3 players to replace her. Purely basketball reasons. If you don't like Sophie Cunningham, fine. There is no other Sophie Cunninghams. She is irreplaceable. She is absolutely irreplaceable as a player. Without, like, the only way you can replace Sophie Cunningham is by, you would basically have to go and restructure the entire roster and find 3 different specialists in different, some as a starter, some as a bench, and some as a, like, and some kind of at the end of your bench to replace what one player does. Like, if the Indiana Fever get rid of Sophie Cunningham, they are basically saying, and I don't care if she wants a max, I actually don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Cheap out on your power forward. Cheap out on your power forward. Give her a 1-year max. You can afford to give her a 1-year max. You absolutely can. Kelsey Mitchell's not a max. She's your only actual max contract player. Cheap out. You can, because of Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark's thing, you can afford 4 max contracts. You can afford 4 max deals. 4. Because of the way your roster is constructed. You can afford 4. You can afford to keep Caitlin and Aaliyah. You can keep your core 6 together. Your core 7 together. Of KK as the developmental player. You can keep 7 of the core 4, Sophie and KK. You can keep that core 7 together. And then fill out the rest of your roster with smart moves. And by the way, you can get Azare on a max. You can keep your core 7, get Azare on the max, and fill out your roster with smart moves. See what Julie Allemon goes for. Maybe Kiki Rice falls to you in the draft, so you get her as a point guard. Maybe you just say, fuck it, we're going to take the risk, and we're going to bring in Iana Martin from Spain. She's maybe not quite there defensively, but it's like, cool, you're going to be our backup. We're going to bring a 3rd point guard in. We're going to bring Coulson back. She might be healthy to start the season. It's like, look, you're going to have to work your way in. Work your way into the team. But the plan is for you long-term, Coulson short-term, take her spot eventually. You can do something like that. But they don't need to get rid of Sophie. If the Indiana Fever want to get rid of Sophie, it's because they want to get rid of Sophie. And if they do that, I'm telling you right now, we might as well kiss any championship dreams away for the future. Not just next year. If they are making moves like this, if they are getting rid of the perfect players, fit-wise, that can do a whole bunch of things to help Caitlin Clark specifically win a ring. Because if they want to just go and play mad like accidental basketball like they did in the playoffs, run around Kelsey Mitchell, then get rid of Sophie. You can keep Lexi just because of all that she does on defense. You can keep Aaliyah, obviously. Go get rid of Caitlin with that, by the way. If you're going to do that, get rid of Caitlin. You can obviously you keep Natasha Howard then. You run it back. You run it back with the playoff roster. You keep Ari, like, if that's the way you want to play, Ari and Odyssey are better than Caitlin. If that's how you want to play. Like, Caitlin is a system player, but she is the fucking system. That's fine. If that is the way that you want to go about it, then you let Sophie walk. Then you trade Caitlin. But if you're actually serious about building around Caitlin, you don't, under any circumstances, let her go. Anyway, I'll see you guys.